Hey friends, this is Kristen Fagan here with Softflex Company for a new episode of Free Spirit Beading, and I'll be on in just a moment. Gail, hi Gail. Gail says your beadboard looks very intriguing. That is exactly how I feel about it too. I'm not quite sure what's going on, and I think it's going to be fun today. All right, I'll be here in just a minute. Okay, let's get this party started. Hi, friends. Hey, Penny and Sue, Nancy and Gail. I don't know what I'm doing today. I had one of those days where I was just kind of fumbling through some things, and it turned into sort of a treasure chest of items that were coming together. And so we're going to create sort of a found object design today. Donna says, yeah, hurry up, get this party started. So because of that, I do have Damien here with me. He's going to share some links to some of our past YouTube videos, because some of the bits and pieces that I'm going to be pulling from were things that I maybe made a little sample of and just kind of stuck in a bowl and pulled it out. So I'm not going to show all the techniques today, but if I show something that we've done a technique before and I have the sample of it, we can link the video for you to check it out. Okay. Hey, Pamela. Hi, Debbie. We're going to be using Softflex craft wire today, and I'm playing. It all started, I should say, you know how that's the famous last words. It all started with these Czech Glass Ammonite fossil beads from the Tucson, the Great Bead Extravaganza kit. And we still have these available for sale at softflexcompany.com. We have a handful of strands in those. So that's how it all began. And it got really crazy when I started pulling stuff together to see what I was going to do. So it's going to be a fun one. But before we get into that, what is going on? I am here an hour early for my Arizona friends. Everybody else, it's the same time as always, but since I am on Arizona time and we fluctuate between Mountain and Pacific, I'm technically here an hour earlier. So you can find me now at 1 p.m. Pacific time, same as always, just different for my Arizona friends. We're an hour earlier now. And then 3 p.m. Eastern, and still 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, like I was before. But I didn't quite feel ready because it's a whole hour earlier. So I have to get my stuff together a little bit sooner on Mondays now. Hey, Charlene. So that said, what's going on this week? We've got 20% off of all of our beads and gemstones at softflexcompany.com. And that can be up to 50% off, depending on if a product is already on sale or in closeout or in outlet. So that discount can get even deeper on those particular items. And that's good until tomorrow, March 15th, 2022 at midnight Pacific time. And Penny says 4 p.m. DST. What is DST? I don't know all the time zones. There's lots of them. So thanks for sharing, Penny. I don't know what that is, though. Where are you located? I feel like I remember you being a bit of ways. Eastern time. Yeah. Hello from Texas, Cookie. Yeah. So I'm still 1 p.m. Oh, that's right. Because I'm earlier, it is 4 p.m. Eastern time. Because I'm used to saying, well, whatever. It's 1 p.m. Pacific. It's 4 p.m. Eastern. And the time change always throws me completely off because I am in Arizona and we do not change our clocks. So everybody around me changes, but we don't change. And I have to everything's always my posting of the stream is off and like everything just gets crazy and it happens twice a year and I just have to deal with it. So can everyone else stop changing their clocks, please? So that I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so yeah, beads and gemstones are on sale. If you caught any of our bead bundles, we just have a few left. We've got the mini daggers. We've got the petal beads. There's only 4 bundles of the petal beads left. There's, I think, 11 of the mini daggers, and then there are about 10 of these. I've got 2 out of the 4 strands in the bundle, and these are faceted drops. I might be using these today, so that's why I pulled them out. And they're a great deal because they are about 30% off for the bundle, and then you get an extra 20% off with the sale. So the bundle of these, I think, is like $13 for the 4 strands. So really a great buy. So if you haven't checked them out, we've just got, I think, those 3 bundles left. All the other ones have sold out. Cookie says, yes, please. I hate changing the time. Why are we still doing it? Says Cindy. I know it throws us all off, right? And on top of that, my kids had a spring break last week, so they were home all last week. My oldest still had spring break this morning, but we all forgot. So he got dressed. We drove him all the way to school and nobody was there. So in addition to the time change, we also took him to school on a day when school actually wasn't open. So he's like, well, that was fun. Get out the door, get all the way to school, and nobody's there. Oops, forgot about that too. So beads are on sale, beads and gemstones at softflexcompany.com. Did you see Sarah on Jewel School this morning? She was on JTV bright and early. If you missed it, you can find the replay on Jewel School's Facebook page. And I'm not exactly sure if you missed it on the live television, if you can go back and watch it. So I don't know about that, but I know you can watch it for sure on Jewel School's Facebook page. That was really fun. She did a project this morning, and then I think she said they're going to do the second project later today. So keep your eye out for that. Thank you for sharing. That's the link. Thanks for sharing, Damien, for Sarah on JTV this morning. So pretty cool. She always has to get up bright and early for that. Sarah did a wonderful job. Oh, good. I'm glad you caught her. Yay. Sarah always does a wonderful job. She is really great at being a Softflex wire ambassador, isn't she? She just really, she's been with the company so long, knows the product inside and out, and is such a wonderful designer. I'm glad that she got the chance to be on there today, and I hope that a lot of you get to see it. So what else do we have going on? Takeovers. We have the Great Bead Extravaganza Spring Fling takeovers starting today. You can find all of that in the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group. Tracy from Tierra Cast is kicking it off for us today. So she's today. We've got SilverSilk tomorrow, and then Softlex Company. Look for us on Wednesday. We're taking over the group on Wednesday. You can find the full schedule over in the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group. So come check us out over there. We'll have, everyone will be doing something different. I know for us, Sarah and I are going to get together for coffee and craft wire, and that will be at noon Pacific time. And then Sarah will be on again on Wednesday at her normal time at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then we have some fun stuff planned throughout the day over in that group. We'll also be launching our the Great Bead Extravaganza Spring Fling kit. So if you want to grab the kit for the event, that will be launching on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. We always make a limited supply. So once those are gone, they're gone. And so the sooner you can grab that, the better. So that's what's going on this week. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Coffee, Anessa says. I know. We used to do coffee and craft wire at like 9 a.m. And then I think we pushed it back to 10 a.m. last time. And now we're at noon, but we're like, you can have coffee any time of the day, right? It doesn't have to be in the morning. So look for us at noon Pacific time on Wednesday for coffee and craft wire. All right, enough jabbering. Let's look at this wild and crazy bead board here and see what we got going on. So I'm using Softlex craft wire, and I'm mostly using the vintage bronze color. But I also have a few samples that I'm pulling from that have the gold silver plated color. And this is the 20 gauge, but I am using 20. I'm using a variety. So I'll try and point it out as we go what was used, but 22, 20, and 18 gauge is what I have pulled here for the gold. And then same thing for the vintage bronze. I've got 22, 20, and 18 gauge. And the 22 is the thinnest, so it's the softest and the thinnest. The 20 is the medium that I've got here. And then the 18 is our heaviest gauge. We do carry 16 gauge, but it's just in a couple of things. We do carry the 18 gauge in all of the colors. So that's the craft wire I'm using today. And if you've never used Softlex craft wire, it is a copper core product, and then it's enameled and colored and enameled to get all of these wonderful colors. The vintage bronze is considered like our colored wire, and then the gold you'll find in our silver plated color wire. So this one just has some silver added to it to give it a brighter tone, and you'll find things like the gold, the rose gold, the silver in the silver plated section. And then you'll find colors like vintage bronze, regular bronze, black and red, a couple of other random colors in the regular color section. Yes, doesn't this look like a yummy bead board? Oh my gosh, what is going on here? What is happening? So like I said, I started with these beads, trying to figure out what I want to do with those. And I was playing with the idea of making like a little treasure found object on the ring. This is the Tiara cast hammered ring, which I've used lots of times. So has Sarah. They're beautiful and it works really lovely on that, this idea. But I also had this super fun piece. Does anyone recognize this? Do you know what this originally was? I found a couple of these. There were 3 in a little pile when I went to Hawaii. And I picked them up at a thrift store because I just was like, I want to make some jewelry out of them. I thought that they were really cool. But I know that I think there was, yes, it's a seashell. Debbie and Leanne. But I think they were napkin rings originally. Don't they look like some old school napkin rings that people used to have? I don't know. That's what I think they were. So I found those in a thrift store in Hawaii, and I just was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but they look kind of fun. They had all these little openings, and I just thought there could be some jewelry that can be made. So I picked out the smallest one for today, and I attached some of the vintage bronze craft wire. I just looped it inside and wire wrapped it around and created this little bottom thing. And what I'm going to do is hang all these little pieces on the bottom of here. So it could be a little more like a found object design. What do you guys think about that? It's kind of fun, isn't it? Michelle says that she has a bag of uncut shelves like that she doesn't know what to do with. Well, maybe we'll have some inspiration forming here today. So the things that I've got, this was the other thing I pulled from. So whenever I do craft wire tutorials, or maybe I'm trying to work something out, I have lots and lots of bits of pieces that didn't make it into my design. I've got shapes like that. I've got all these little components that I've made. And so I pulled this out today, and I was looking through to see what can I play with. And add to my found art design here. So I pulled out anything that was in the vintage bronze color, and then a few things that were in the gold. So if you see these here, those of you that have been watching me for a little while, you recognize these. I made some craft wire head pins. And this was the second link I shared with you, Damien, to share on the group. So I had made these craft wire head pins with spirals and triangles on a previous video. And so I had all of these little dangles left over, some that didn't have any beads like this one that had a couple of beads, and then a few of these spirals. So I pulled those out to hang. And I'm attaching everything with these jump rings. They're like a vintage copper color. I thought they were dark enough to just kind of blend in. And I want to say, let me see if I can measure the size, because they're a little bigger, a little bit bigger than usual. So they're an 8mm. That's an 8mm size jump ring. And I'm just going to attach open these jump rings up using a pair of chain nose or flat nose and attach some of these little items to my wire. I don't know what to call this, my little wire half moon circle. And here's the one that kind of started it all. I used the Ammonite bead with those turbines, which were in the Tucson kit and still available at softflexcompany.com. And I used some of those leftover little rondelle beads in there. Charm holder. There you go, Lorraine. That's what I've heard people call them as, like a charm holder. So I'm going to stick this one in the center. And this one's got a hammered ring. That's the medium size on our website in the antique brass color with the rondelle and the Ammonite beads. So these are all put on with the 22 gauge craft wire in vintage bronze. So I use the 18 gauge for the charm holder. And then I've got the 22 gauge on these little dangles. And I believe I used 22 gauge when I did these as well. Fun, fun, fun. Oh, one thing to note, the 18 gauge is pretty heavy duty already. It's pretty heavy duty already, but I did go around with my nylon jaw pliers and just kind of push down and work harden it a little bit more. I'm just going to do that one more time. And what that does is just kind of compress the wire, and it's a light work hardening. It's not as intense as if I was doing the wire whacker or a hammer or something like that. But if you feel like it's a little bit soft and you just want to give it a light push on there, you can work harden it up a little bit. Aren't those fun? Those are from Kay Goss over at Star Beads. I believe she sells these. She had sent this to me in a package, and they are great. They're a bit heavier and they are a bit larger than my other pliers. So, but it's nice to have a plier that is a bit bigger and a bit heavier at times. You'll see the difference in the size between my regular chain nose plier and then this one is a bit bigger. I used one of these little red rondelles to go with the Ammonite bead because they came in the kit, but we do have them in a few different colors. Here's the red. I think we only have about 5 strands of the red left. And this is the brass. I actually think we're almost sold out of the brass. We might only have 3 of those left. And then we have a decent amount of the black. I want to say maybe a little over 10 or so. But those are the, we sold out of the turquoise. Those are the colors we've got left in stock at Softflex Company. And I'm using the red one today. Where'd I put my little charm holder? There it is. So this was kind of fun today, just kind of going through some random stash stuff and seeing what I can create. This little dangle was a piece of chain, and then I used the 22 gauge vintage bronze to make a little dangle. And I'm just going to add a couple more on. Oh, I have another one of those here. So here's another little longer piece of chain. So this way you don't have to worry about if you've got little bits of chain in different lengths and sizes. You know, it's fun having some random bits and pieces. And I think I'll leave this one since it's a little shorter, and I'll put the chain right between it. Oop, I gotta fix that jump ring. So you want to make sure your jump rings are nice and closed, and you just kind of wiggle your wrists back and forth to close them up. And okay, so the other thing I was thinking about when I was working on this was like, oh, I really like these charms, but they're kind of falling together really closely. And how can I give them a little bit more space? So what I think I'm going to do there is I'm going to place a couple of jump rings in between the dangles, and that should give them a little space to not fall together quite so tightly. So I'm thinking let's try 3. I'll show you what I mean. So in between these two charms right here, I'm going to add 3 jump rings. There's 1. There's 2. Not so gracefully. And there's 3. Okay, so let's see, just to show you what I mean. So now in between, I've got 3 jump rings, just giving those 2 dangles a little extra spacing when they fall together. And you can even add more if you wanted to, but I'll just stop at 3 for now and see how it goes. So then we move to the next one, which is between this one, and I'll add 3 more jump rings. So then I'm just pushing each of the charms to the side. And it adds texture too. Yes, Gail, 100%. It adds I always love a little extra texture, especially on a design like this. That's sort of a mixed bag, if you will. Okay, and then you could pick that up and see how that's looking. Oh, I got to tighten that one a little bit. It'll lay much nicer and it won't fall off if you get your jump rings nice and tight. So far, yeah. I'm going to add 3 more over here. So if you have a big old bag of jump rings, you could even use smaller jump rings if you didn't want to use that that may be nice actually, if you didn't want to use the larger ones. I didn't think of that till now, and I don't feel like taking off the ones I've already done. So I'm going to leave it bigger, but even if you have multiple sizes, you can try doing some smaller ones as your spacer. Can you believe we're doing takeovers for the spring fling? Oh, the Great Bead Extravaganza. I was like, how are we here already? So our next Great Bead Extravaganza is April. Preview party is April 8th, and then it's the 9th and 10th is the weekend. And what the takeovers are just a chance for each of the, oh, this is looking so fun. I think I just got one more little section to do here. Yeah, right there. So what the takeovers are, give the chance for each of the presenters, each of the 14 presenters, to have a day that is just dedicated to them, and they join it'll be just in the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group that the takeovers happen, and everybody will share what they want to share on that day. And it's kind of like a fun way to gear us up for the big event. Softlex Company will be on Saturday, April 9th. Mark your calendars. I don't recall the time at the moment, but it will be on Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday, April 9th and 10th, is the Great Bead Extravaganza Spring Fling. All right. And I like that because it gives a little extra space and your charms are not like falling so close together. I wonder if I want to put another one of these at the ends, like a little short one, since they are kind of my, yeah, I like that. What do you think? Should I do it on both sides? I definitely should do it on this side because it needs a little bit of a shorter one here. So let's make another little dangle. I'm going to use my 22 gauge vintage bronze craft wire. And I always like to use my nylon jaw pliers to straighten that wire off the spool. One fossil on the right. Yeah, it looks like we definitely need something shorter there, right? So we'll do one fossil. Maybe I'll do the red on the bottom. We've got a few votes. Gail says both sides. Leanne says one on the right. And Maria says on both sides. So what I'm going to do, I don't know how much I cut. I cut probably way too much, but I'm just going to bend one side up. Ammonites. Yeah, they're like a fossil bead. They are, I'm probably saying them wrong. Oh, maybe I'll let it be, maybe I'll let this fall that way. That looks fun. Am I saying it wrong? It's like Ammonite. I'm just kidding. Like Nemo. And he can't say the name of where he lives. So I've got my rondelle facing that way and just doing a messy wrap around. Oh, Leanne says she does read our emails. Thanks, Leanne. I spend a lot of time on those emails, so I'm glad somebody's reading them. And then I'm going to create my loop at the top. So I'm just going to bend that 90 degrees. Grab a hold of the wire, go up, around, turn my wire direction, go underneath to create my little loop. And you could even just attach them without the jump ring. When I started this project, I was using the ring, and it was a little bit thicker. This one's a lot thinner. So you could even forego the jump ring if you wanted to and just attach this and then do your wrap. I'm going to just continue with the jump ring for now because I did it with all the other ones. Just wrap around a few times. I always like a really fun little messy wrap. And then see how you've got your little tail of your wire. You want to tuck that in. And now I'll take another jump ring and add this to the one side. I'll think about whether or not I want to add it to the other side, and maybe I'll do that later if I decide to. But I'm going to move on to thinking about what I'm going to do for the top of this necklace. So there we go. There's our charm. Our charm bottom. Our found objects, all of our found little pieces that were discarded from other things. Oh, I wanted to get one of these in there too. So I'll have to think about that. But this is a great time to pull out things that are just kind of one-offs that go together and see if you want to add them into your found object little charm holder. All right, so for the top here, I had this little piece of SilverSilk from SilverSilkonline.com, and I think this was included in some little package. Oh, it might have been the customer appreciation mug. That's what I think it came from. Softlex Company's Customer Appreciation Week, we did a special mug that had bits and pieces in there from all the different companies that joined us for the week, and I think that's where this little piece is from. So this is like a seafoam color. Nile creates these with a craft wire and then has a gunmetal down the center. I think this one's called a capture chain. He's got a few different varieties, and this one I believe is the capture chain. So what am I going to do with this? I was thinking that I would loop this right through the top here. I liked how it picked up that kind of blue color from those turbine beads, from these little turquoise turbine beads. And then I think I'm going to make a little knot. So I'm just going to go around to create a loop and then go through with both of the pieces and create a simple little knot like that. Just like you would if you were using some leather or something, another cord. Yes, Leanne, it is like a chain. It's different from the pipe chain because the pipe chain, the new pipe chain he created, you can thread through the center. And this has the ball chain through the center. So it's encased, yes. And it's like a finished chain. So I created a little knot there. And now I have to create something here to connect to. You can do this a couple of different ways. Let me see if I've got some cones here. You can use cones. I do have some cones. Do I have two? Yeah. So I've got our hammered cones, which come in a variety of metals in the antique brass that you could use to cover if you wanted to. Something like that. SilverSilk also creates their own little findings that you could crimp right to the end of these and then have a little loop on the other end. But you can also use craft wire, which is what I think I'm going to do today. The first thing I'm going to do is just straighten these out so that they are the same length. And I'm going to grab some of my vintage bronze in the 20 gauge. So I'm going to go up a little bit. The 22 gauge is what I used for the dangles, and that's a little softer. The 20 gauge is going to be just a little heavier. Let's see where I can open it. So it'll be a little sturdier. And I'm going to, again, smooth out my craft wire before I cut it off the spool. And I think I'll take about, maybe I'll take about 6 to 8 inches, which is probably way more than I need. But I can always cut a piece and save it for later. Yeah, so now I'm going to go through my capture chain with my wire. And I'm just going to bend it up like so. And what I want to do is I'm going to eventually create a little loop here, but I want to take this part of my wire and I want to wrap it around my capture chain. Maybe I'll grab it down here first and make a nice loop around. Working down. And then I'll grab it up here. And it's holding on by a thread. Oh no. See, it's a good idea that I cut more than I needed because I didn't go through it deep enough. All right, scrap that. Scrap that, and now let's do it again, but I'm going to go down a little bit lower so that I am not just holding on by a teeny tiny thread. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to point the smaller side up because that will be my loop. Hold on to this. Hold on to that, and then start wrapping around. Oh, Penny is awaiting hand surgery and unable to type, but she wanted to say hi. Hey, Penny, good luck with your surgery. I hope your hand is feeling a lot better afterwards. I know it'll probably take a little while to heal. We'll all be thinking about you. So I'm basically just wrapping all the way around it. And I'm just going to squish this little piece down. And what I've got left here, I can then create a loop from. I tend to like to wire wrap over again and do it. I have a very small space here. Let me think if I can grab it. Let's see, maybe I can do it with this one. There we go. Woo-wee. All right, got it. So essentially, just want to make myself a little connector, and that's what I'll do on the other side too, so that I can go ahead and connect it to beading wire or other little pieces of wrapped. That could be cute right there. Let's see, let's move some of this out of the way so we can take a look at our charm bottom and what bead. I can add a little Ammonite bead up here as well. Leanne says, oh girl, nice connection there. Yeah, I was sweating that one for a little bit. But I made it work. Made it work. I love those kind of connections too. So I've got an interesting piece here. This is from a video James did. So Damien, this was the other link. I think it was the first one I sent you. And James did a double wrapped bracelet video, and I created this piece of chain from that. How awesome is this? But of course, I made it just too big for a bracelet. So I had this in my little remnant stash, and I think it would be great with this project. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I want to do here? Do we want to create one side beaded and one side wire? I could do something like that. Or I can, the only thing that's a bummer is that these are wire wrapped connected. So if I want to cut them free, I'd have to cut them. But I could put them in between, and that could be really pretty. So that would just mean that I would have to cut like every other one so that I have some spaces there. But that might be really quite nice. Ooh, what about that one in between? That could be really pretty because it brings in that color from down here. I can do a multiple, I think I'll go with some different ones, right? Like put something like that and then switch to an Ammonite or Emolite. I'm going to say it wrong. I'm just going to call it the fossil bead. Put one of those, and just go up the back. How does that sound? Do I use these at all, or are they feeling a little different? I feel like they might not quite go with the rest of my stuff because I didn't put one on the bottom. Maria says, oh, good idea with the different ones. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's, let's see. I know, I like them too, Monica. Maybe they do work if I push them, if I kind of put them in a little bit. So I do think they're cute. I have quite a bit of these left too, so that's kind of nice. They can go up the back side if I need to. I'll probably only get one side done. So if I've got 1, 2, 3. There's 13 of these little connectors. And I did this one with the 18 gauge craft wire. So I'm kind of thinking if I cut it close to the edge, I can close it back up again and utilize it. So I'm going to give that a try. So if I cut that one so that I can open this up and use this little piece, then I can close this and use this one too. You know? Yeah, that'll work. That will work. We're going to add one on the bottom and then it will work on the top. Yeah, if I decide to put one down here, then we'll see it at the top. That's a good idea. I definitely have space on my charm thing to add more. So looking at this design, I'd probably make it pretty long. So this is where my heavy duty chain nose plier is going to come in. It's a little bit better for this thicker. So let's just cut a couple of them free to work with. I'll probably just get to do a handful of them and have to finish it later. All right, there's 3. do one of these first since I have a lot of those. I'm going to stick with the vintage bronze. And this one is the 20 gauge. I decided to go up a little bit because the 22 is pretty soft. It's good for dangles, but it's going to be a little, for me, I feel like it'll be a little too soft to go on the actual necklace. And since these are 18 gauge, I didn't want to go up that high. I was afraid it wasn't going to fit. Let me check actually. Just so you know if it fits or not. Yeah, it does fit, but it's a bit snug. It's definitely not, but you can make it work. Whereas on the 20, it'll fit really, really easily. So let's take a piece of our wire, bend it 90 degrees, make our first loop. And if you want to make it that they are wrapped loops, I wonder if I should do one of these guys first. No, I think the bead first. Talking it through. Trying to decide if I want to wrap it all the way around or if I just want to do a simple loop. I think my hands are getting tired. My hands are like, keep it simple. Are you more of a simple loop or a wrapped loop kind of gal? I tend to do the wrapped loops more. However, I don't usually do so many in a design. Like I don't do these kind of wrapped chains very often. So I can see how in this case, just doing a nice simple loop is a bit more of what I want to do. So the difference is the simple loop, you don't go wrapping all the way around. Deb from Dahlia Design says, wrapped loops most of the time. Once in a while, the design needs simple loops, though, for visuals. Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of people doing simple loops. I just, like I said, when I usually do loops, I'm only doing a couple. And in that case, I like the look of the wrap loop. I like the security of the wrap loop. But doing something where you have to do a bunch of loops, I can see the benefit of doing them simple. Monica says, more of a simple loop girl. I'm not the best at wrap loops. Yeah, they do take a little time to learn, and which is why I'm kind of in the messy wrap loop camp. I like the texture that it gives, and I also like the freedom it kind of affords me, and it gives me permission to not have to make it like so perfect. All right, there's one. Maybe I'll do this one next. Ooh, this one's got a really pretty blue finish on it. You'll find that they have, this was all from the same strand. So you'll find there's going to be some variation. That one's lovely. Oh, this design is making up for my quick one last week, right? Last week I couldn't believe how fast I was done. This one's definitely making up for that. See, because I'm used to doing wrap loops, I tend to go over and then I have to cut away like that because I'm used to going past. Going past my wire. Let me grab a little piece of this too, since I've been adding the little red pops next to the fossil beads. Maybe I'll do that here as well. All right, so I think I'll stop here and just kind of keep going on my own because I'm just going to keep adding different beads up the back. Isn't that fun? Oh, I think that is just going to be so cool. So we'll see what I end up doing. I'll share the rest of it in the VIB group. And then, of course, we always do the roundup on the Softflex blog on Friday and in our Saturday emails. So you'll get to see a picture in there as well. I think I'm going to try and fit in some of these flat pieces. I have quite a few of these left, so it can go up around the back. And then for a clasp, I'm not really sure yet, but I do have this little one that I did with wire a while back. I think we watched Sarah and Sam at Sam's Bead Shop do something, and I kind of followed along, trying to remember where this one came from. But that could be a great, I could even go kind of in the front here because it's pretty. Great way to fix it. Or it could just be long enough that it goes over my head. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I feel like it's going to be somewhat long with this long little charm holder going on here. So, to be continued. We'll see where this ends up. Very different. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's very different. Something different for me too. I've never done anything quite like that before, and it's fun to kind of play with lots of different materials and see how they're all gonna go together. And Nessa says your teaching is Spitfire. Thank you. Awesome from Leanne. Thanks, Leanne. Oh, before I go, let me share this little design with you because I pulled it out. We loaded up some great, gorgeous lapis last week. And this is some lapis that I had purchased from Softlex Company. This is in the nugget style. And we have some of these nuggets available. I think it's a little bit smaller of a strand. I want to say it's more like a 5 nugget strand that we've got online. So this one's a little bit longer, but they are just phenomenal. Aren't they super cool? So I just wanted to share one of these designs I did. I know Sarah did a design with the lapis last week, and look at how pretty the lapis is with the turquoise. It's just such a gorgeous blue combination. So before I looked down and said, oh, I didn't get a chance to share that yet. Pretty blue. Yeah, Christine says very boho. Totally. And it's going to remind me of my my trip to Hawaii. I went for the first time in September, and that's when I got this little piece here. And then these will bring in my little Tucson, Arizona vibe as well. So pretty fun. Leanne says lapis is good for summer. It screams summer is here. It does. Lapis is so gorgeous. Beautiful lapis. Thanks, Monica. Lots of hearts and loves from Penny. Thanks, everybody. So Penny, I hope everything goes really well for you today on your hand surgery. And I can't wait to see you all again on Wednesday at noon over on the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group for Coffee and Craftwire, me and Sarah. I'm going to be making a ring. So excited about that. So we'll share. I don't know what Sarah's doing yet, but I know I'm going to make a ring on Wednesday. So that's going to be great. I look forward to seeing you all there for our takeover all day. And am I missing anything else, Damien? We've got 20% off beads and gemstones, up to 50% off for some items that are on sale already. Anything else going on that I missed? Yeah, totally a fun and funky piece. And these are the earrings I made last week. So they started this whole little charm, kick 'em on. We did that last Monday. So when I was putting it together, when I did the ring first, I said, oh, this kind of feels a lot like last week's, which is okay. But that's when I decided to pull out the shell and make it a little bit different, do something a little different today. All right, everyone. I'll see you next Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time for another episode of Free Spirit Beading. Have a wonderful week. And be sure to check us out on Wednesday for the takeover. All right. See you soon.